We got to make a difference. Something's got to change. So this is a journal written by a bunch of students who have a heart for changing this world and for loving God the way he wants to be loved. And what we're going to do is we're going to do this journal. We're going to do this journey together as a church. And I didn't tell the last service this. There's a lot of other people doing this with us. There's other churches doing it. There's other youth groups doing it. There's other schools doing it. There's Christian clubs doing it. We got people in Chicago and in Texas doing this. Isn't that cool? Isn't that exciting? I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it. Now, listen, here's what we're doing. This is a journal. This is a journey that we're going to go on where we're going to do different things. And it's not easy. I'm not going to pretend that this is going to be easy. This is going to be tough. It's going to challenge you. It's going to push you. I'm not looking forward to doing everything on this list. I'm not. It's hard. It's going to be an inconvenience. But I need to broaden my understanding. Like what Mark said, I need to get some perspective in my life. I got a pretty good feeling you do too. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go through this thing. And the way it kind of works is you're just going to flip, you can flip to whatever page and kind of look at some of the different things. It has it dated for you. You can tell you when to do different things. But the way each day starts is it tells you what you're going to do. It maybe give you some statistics. There's a couple paragraphs there somewhere, something like that, a paragraph or two, that talks about what we're going to do that day. It tells us what we're going to give up. It tells us what we're going to do different. It talks about that, kind of raises some awareness, gives us some education on what's going on in the world. And then after that, it has some suggested verses that you can read, that you can do along with what you're already doing for your quiet times, or maybe that'll just be the passages that you study that day for your quiet time. And that's what you're going to do that day. The day that I'm on right now is a day that says beg for lunch. And so on this day, what we're going to do is instead of us spending our own money on our lunch that day, you're going to go to somebody else and say, hey, I'm short on cash. I need to borrow some money so I can eat lunch. And I'll be honest with you, last year when I had to do that, that was really hard for me. It was really hard for me to swallow my pride and be humble enough to go to somebody else and say, can you give me some money so I can eat? Because don't we want to be independent? We don't want people to think we're struggling. We don't want people to think that we're having a hard time with money. We don't want to depend on the goodwill of others. That was hard, and that was tough for me. And so what we're going to do is this is the day that I'm on, so that's what I would do that day, is I have to go and do that. And at the end of the day, there's these things where it says reflect. And at the end of the day, what we're going to do is we're going to sit down, and we're going to reflect on these things and think about what it was like, how difficult it was, how hard it was, what it taught us about ourselves, what it taught us about God, what it taught us about the world. And you're just going to spend some time thinking about it. And what would be great is, as a family, sit down and talk about it as a family. How did this change you? What did this teach you? What did this show you about God? And spend some time just talking about it as a family. And then the last thing that has in each day is it has the thing where it says respond. And what I'm going to do that day and what you'll do on that day is the money that you would have spent for lunch is going to be put aside. For me, it would be like $5 I'd spend on lunch. And I'm going to put it in this bowl. This is a bowl that I have at my house. You can use a bowl. You can use a coffee cup. You can use whatever you want. Have a place where you're going to put that money aside, though. And I'm going to put it aside in this bowl. And I'm going to hang on to it. And each day as I do different things, there's a dollar here, a couple bucks here, some change here. And I'm just going to keep putting that money aside on those different things that I'm fasting and giving up. And then it's going to accumulate. And then 2 weeks from today, when we wrap up the journey to awareness, we're going to have a place here where all of us are going to bring our bowl, our coffee cup, whatever we have, and we're going to put it all together into like some different things that we're going to have here where we're going to collect it. And we're going to give that money to a cause. Here's the cause that we're committed to as a church. I don't know if you've heard about it, but there's this thing called the LRA. It's this rebel army group. They're not a nation. It's not its own political nation or anything. It's just a bunch of guys who for 22 years now have been fighting a war, not against any one person or any one country really, but just fighting their own little war that they're doing. But this is what they're doing, is they're not fighting for themselves. They're going into the villages, some in Uganda, like in Gulu and just different places. They go into the villages, they kidnap children, and they make them their warriors for them. They force kids as young as 6, 7, 8 years old, they force them to kill. They force them to fight in their war for them. And you want to know how they brainwash these kids? You want to know what they usually do for the first thing that they make these kids do? Is kill one of their parents or their siblings or all of them. That's their reality. That's how they brainwash these kids. That's what they do. Here's a video. It's going to kind of let us get a little bit of a picture of what the LRA is and what we're all about.